And Niels, will you a short presentation?
It's Niels. I'm from Danfoss. It does say Danfoss Ventures in the participation list, on the participation list, but I'm actually moved into a new section of Danfoss called the Danfoss Development Group. But I'm working with a lot of the portfolio companies that are what we call non-core or non-strategic for Danfoss. A lot of startups, also more mature businesses. That's what I see.
My name is Johan Hansen. I'm also from Danfoss. I'm IT director in a part of Danfoss where we are 8,000 people. My job is not technical, it's about systems and processes to make the administration effective and efficient. So I hope I can give you some hints.
Yeah, my name is Ole Petersen. I'm sitting in SET Sonderborg, but it's representative for Mechatronic Cluster Denmark. So I'm very joined to see what you can propose in the future.
My name is Lars Berkholt, and I'm from Væksthuset Syddanmark, or Growth Southern Denmark. We do consulting work, strategic consulting work with primarily small and mid-sized companies in our region. I specialize in international trade and e-business. So that's been my background. Prior to that, I was 10 years in the US in Silicon Valley, and I have some project management work running IT software development projects.
Yeah. My name is Jesper Christensen, and I'm also from Sydhus, Southern Denmark, whatever. My specialty or core competences is strategy and leadership, as I told you. So I think Lars more or less stated what we are about. So that's it.
What is your background?
My background. Oh yeah, I'm educated within economics, and I have an MBA degree, and I also worked at Danfoss and some other companies as a business development manager.
My name is Arne Peters. I'm coming from Countryware, which is my own small company, so I have a little bit another perspective on the project, I hope. It's a consultancy company which is doing mostly advice and development for development departments, both private and also for the public. My background is I'm a master with a specialization in computer science, and then also have an MBA.
Thank you. Can you have been answered? That's okay.
I'm only an observer.
Yeah, today, that's fine. Okay.
Okay, I think
Yes.
we'll
just take it in the presentation.
Yeah,
yes.
We have it in the presentation, so
Fine.
I'm just going to start. Give me a mic when my 15 minutes of glory starts.
It's okay, there's a warning.
Good. Hello and welcome again. My name is Ronan. I would like to present to you our small company, Decor. In the presentation today, I'll talk about the team, us, about the customer pain and how we intend to solve it. We're going to talk about the market and the possibilities and opportunities in the market, how we're going to penetrate that market, or at least how we intend to, and then at the end, what do we need in order to carry that out. So as I said, my name is Ronan. I'm 30 years old. I'm originally from Israel. In the company, I'm in charge of business development, business partnership, and public relationship. Basically everything that comes out of the company, but also in charge of the daily operations in the company, making sure that the processes are actually carried out and we're working together as an organization. I just graduated last Friday, my Master of Science in Engineering and Innovation in Business. And I have a similar bachelor. I also have another bachelor from before in chemical engineering. Has nothing to do with that. Past experience, I was a research and development engineer in Linak, helping in the development over there. I helped with a startup project here while I was in charge of it, with the Meta Classic Institute, a consultancy project called For Your Advice, basically doing innovation audits for companies in the region. I was a co-founder of art studio sponsored by the Rotary Club in Israel, in Haifa, where I'm from. And I was a captain in the Israeli army for 5 years, where I had approximately 120 soldiers under my command back at the time.
Well, my name is Joost Maarsen. I'm 27. I'm from Holland. Within the company, I'm in charge of marketing sales activities. At the moment, I'm also doing finance and administration jobs. In my education, I finished the same studies as Ronan. I finished last year. It's innovation and business. I've always focused very much on the business side, and it's also seen in my background. During my bachelor, I had a company called Long Design, which applied web solutions to small and medium large enterprises. I'm the co-founder of the Sonneborg Student Foundation, which still exists, which I set up during my master. And over the last year, I've been teaching business courses here at the university at both bachelor and master level.
Our third partner, his name is Mike. He's very sorry that he can't be here today. He had to go to Poland. But in the company, he's in charge of the engineering, the technical development, and our internal IT and communication. He's doing his PhD right now in nano engineering here at the university. He has a master in control engineering and robotics, where that's very useful to what we're doing today, and also a bachelor in mechatronics from this university. In his past, he was an executive researcher in Spain, setting up wireless communications, and a quality manager at Linak. He's, of course, a research assistant right now here at the university. So let's get to it. What's our customer pain? Basically, our customers are large companies with large automation systems, especially those that use what we call, well, we don't call, everybody calls them automated guided vehicles, or in short, AGVs. So this is a regular setup of an AGV system where a central computer is controlling the whole system, sending commands, telling the system basically what to do. So what is the problem with this system? First of all, this central computer is a bottleneck in the system. All the information flows to this central computer and all the commands are being distributed from this central computer, basically controlling the entire system. And this central computer is a bottleneck here. And of course, this virtual bottleneck is being transformed to a physical bottleneck where goods are being waited to be delivered all the time in the system. So there you go, that's bottlenecks. Another thing is that since a lot of the companies have different layouts, some of the solutions that are supplied from their suppliers, their automation suppliers, have to be adjusted to the layout or the specific functionalities of the warehouse that they have in there. So they are forced to do, the IT departments, they are forced to make some in-house developments, which we've learned through our customer research, that are in charge of approximately 80% of the malfunctions. You combine those two together, and you get what's called the system downtime. System downtime is basically a time where the system is not operating due to a malfunction or some kind of error in the main server. If the main server malfunctions, and that's smoke, malfunctions or some kind of error that affects the entire system, and sometimes the entire system stops. And even if this uptime, the opposite of downtime, is 98% approximately in most facilities, that 2% costs companies more than 10 million Danish kroner a year. And that's only one part of the problem. Another part of the problem is that the company wants to be more flexible in their facilities. They want to be able to adjust the fluctuations in demand faster in order to adjust the operations of their facilities. Another thing is that a lot of the solutions that are presented today by suppliers, they are only compatible with their own systems, so, meaning they're only able to upgrade their own systems. Some of the companies upgrade more, but most of the companies upgrade their own systems. Meaning that if a company wants to upgrade, it's got two options. Either you replace the whole system, or you upgrade with the same supplier that you had, which limits the possibilities of a company a lot. This kind of initial investment can go up to more than 30 million in initial investment, 30 million Danish kroners. All in all, we see loss of tens of millions of Danish kroners a year. We see reduced productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness, and all of that is originated from problems caused by the central computer of the system. So basically what we did is we're developing right now a software that cancels and eliminates the need for a central computer. Basically what we do is we take that central computer out, we implement our software to each one of those AGVs, automated guided vehicles, and make them able to cooperate, collaborate, prioritize, all together without the need of a central computer telling them what to do. That's basically the idea.
So what are the benefits then? Well, the very, very clear one here is independency. If you have a central computer here steering the system, if this central computer goes down, like we said before, the entire system goes down. If we take a decor system where the central computer is gone, if one vehicle malfunctions, the rest of the system will keep functioning to the best optimal capacity, basically reducing downtime and keeping the system running. This can save an average of 10 million DKK a year only in direct operational costs. We're not even talking here about what it costs for companies to have to call their customers saying your products are coming later. This is direct operational cost, catching up time, 10 million. Then there's legacy systems. Basically right now, the companies, the automation companies, only upgrade their own systems. What Decor software will be applicable to all the legacy systems, all the older systems in the warehouse. We'll be able to communicate with each and every one of them, giving us a distinct competitive advantage and making an optimal upgrade solution at minimal cost. Decor is very flexible and scalable. Basically, sections of a warehouse can be opened and closed without any changes to our software, because there's no central computer. Vehicles can just be added and distracted, and this will really increase the flexibility and support concepts such as lean and modular production. All Decor vehicles will be able to service different parts of the warehouse and carry out different tasks. Basically, Decor is very adaptable, as we already showed before. All vehicles within the Decor system will be always aware of where all the other vehicles are. So if a vehicle breaks down and a path is obstructed, it will automatically know, because of the virtual map inside, go around and find the most optimal route. This is what we call ad hoc decision making based on the virtual map inside the vehicle. This will give really great productivity gains. What is absolutely unique to Decor is the possibility of parallel decision making. This can be done nowhere else, because when decisions are made in a central computer, it's always serial. These vehicles are all intelligent, and they can make decisions locally, which means decisions can be made at different places of the warehouse at the same time, in real time. Basically, the initial market we will focus on is Denmark and then Germany and Sweden, because of their close proximity, but also because these are some of the biggest automation markets in Europe. Basically, our entry market is Denmark, and we will focus on existing warehouses where there are already AGV systems in place. Lots and lots of companies have AGV systems that are 10, maybe 15 years old, and they are looking to either upgrade or buy a new system. What we can do for companies such as Novo Nordisk, which we are talking to and have 16 AGVs, we can allow them to keep their existing hardware for maybe another 5-10 years and actually seriously upgrade the performance of their system at minimal cost compared to what our competitors can do. These are some of the competitors that we are dealing with. Large companies such as JBT, Egemin and Swisslog. These companies all make automated guided vehicles, but the distinct difference is they only upgrade their own systems. So, for example, Novo Nordisk can only have an upgrade from Swisslog. That is a real disadvantage for them. There's one company that does it differently, that's Danaher, which provides generic upgrades, but none of these companies work with the decentralized solution that Decor has. We are absolutely unique in the market when it comes to the decentralized approach and the benefits we offer. These are some of the aspects of our unique selling proposition. We're basically able to offer generic upgrades based on distributed intelligence and decentralized control, prolonging the existing platform's lifespan. This is a huge deal since a new system costs 30 million DKK upwards. That's 30 million DKK for a small system. And basically what we say, with a minimum of investment, you can keep your existing hardware, and your lifespan will be significantly increased.
So basically, how are we going to do that? We found out after our quite extensive market research that this is a normal setup in the industry. Software providers are often cooperating with AGV manufacturers and sometimes even consolidate with them into one group. They will then supply the end user, for example, Danfoss or Novo Nordisk, with a full solution. Another force that we found out that is very strong and powerful is consultancies. For example, a company like Danfoss went and said to a consultancy called Miba, we want a complete full solution and we want a performance of this and that. So they go to the consultancy, which then combines all kinds of aspects from all kinds of suppliers and presents a full portfolio. Basically what we intend on doing is focusing on those two. Firstly, focus on the end users, try to provide them with our solution, and then after getting some references, go to the consultancies and try to integrate our software in the portfolio they offer also to the end users. Our market strategy, or how we intend on doing that, is first of all, right now we are developing our prototype. This is, for example, one of the vehicles that we're using. It's a small one, looks like this, that we use to develop our software, but also use as a sales and marketing tool to show, here, the software works just as much as we say it does. We don't just say words. After that, we intend on making a consultancy project where with one of those initial customers. For example, Danfoss doesn't have an AGV system, but they have, in Rullecro, they have a whole warehouse ready to be implemented with AGVs. But Novo Nordisk, for example, has 16 of those that we know that their service contract is about to end right now, and they're looking for a new project or a new setup. So we can go to one of those, say, we're going to offer a consultancy where we're going to analyze your operations, we're going to analyze the warehouse and maybe try to optimize it. We can do a lot of things in return to having using their spare AGVs in order to take our software from prototype level to product level. So we're going to actually finish our development on a real platform and be able to commercialize the product at the end. What we want to do afterwards is to create a demand from the market and then start cooperating with some of the AGV manufacturers in order to implement that in maybe also new systems, and maybe also after that license the software. Quickly about the cooperation, because we're running out of time. We have cooperation with the University of Southern Denmark. We have 2 students coming from the academy here, software developers. We had cooperations with Venture that helped us a lot with our patent application, and of course the mechatronics cluster that is also helping us like today. Basically what we need is a 1.5 million investment basically to finish the prototype and acquire the first customer, maybe get a tiny office somewhere, and cover our travel expenses for the next year.
This financial
We have
projection.
about a half a minute.
Yeah, this financial projection shows basically where we want to go with the investment. The 1.8 million will take us through the first year of development. Afterwards, we'll need another investment of about 3 million. We're already making money at that moment, but not enough to actually keep going. So here we want to have our first customer, and actually around the second year we'll have the product finished, and we'll be working on several more consultancy-based projects. Where we see this, it goes up here gradually, where we see that we're doing more jobs and we're getting more customers. Where the real spike comes from here is when we start, when we have our software finished, we've got it implemented at several clients, and will generate an interest from the AGV manufacturers, where actually there's a demand from the industry, from their customers, to actually have a distributed software solution in the new vehicles. That's where we'll start licensing our software to our to basically the AGV producers, and that's where cost will stay at the same level, but revenue will go up immensely. So that explains the spike here, and accumulated profit that we project after 5 years is around 116 million. This of course will keep going up afterwards. Anything to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sit down, take it easy.
Good.
Nice presentation. Then we have a first round where we just give some input for the presentation and a short question and a short answer from the two guys. What was good? Nils, you have looked at a lot of presentation for investors, so
Yeah, and since I'm not a technical guy and I only from time to time get into the production side, you may want to consider explaining just briefly what an AGV does. What is it that it's doing for the company? I always figured it out as you went through it. But exactly what piece of equipment is that for the manufacturer? That was just one observation. Then I think your business model, and this is when we get to, I assume there's a rough Q&A where we can fire all we want, but the business model that you showed, and also the value chain that you're trying to break into. And I'm going to be interested and curious to know how much you've studied that, because that's kind of key to whether you're going to succeed or not, I think. And then also maybe, and obviously you only have 15 minutes, so you're limited, but how are you actually going to sell this? Is it a one-off fee? Is there kind of a recurring fee annually? What is included? All that, the whole model around the software that you're providing. Is it a traditional software setup, or what is it that you intend? I don't think you touched on that.
No, that's one of the questions we're hoping to get.
Okay.
I can explain, you know, because then I don't have the 15 minutes limitation.
And I don't know, I've got many more questions, but I think
that's okay.
we'll leave that for later.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Put them together and short answers after this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think it was very interesting, and I'm more technical, so I can understand the problem or the business opportunity, but I think you focus a little too much on eliminating a central computer, and big companies, they have a central computer and we can't avoid it. I think you should focus on the flexibility and not being dependent on one supplier.
On the upgradability, the upgrade solution.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, first of all, I think you have performed very well this time since last time. You had many more aspects in the presentation. You're very well ready to talk about that. The only thing I was interesting to hear, what I also told you last time, that was maybe there could be some kind of comparison between, some kind of gain for the company. You have added in your presentation how much cost it will have, 10 million per year. But what is the benefit? And maybe have that in one slide, the investment will be that on this vehicle, and per year you will have so many costs with if you don't use that. So a very brief information for the customer to see how much they can gain about to use you as supplier. Another thing also I thought about, you were talking very much about downtime and so on. Everyone who use that system know about downtime. So I don't think there's a need for explanation what that is. Just say downtime will be so much in this case. And so too many words, very simple about the presentation. A little bit talk slowly because there's a lot of information from the panel here to think about.
Yes.
And then focus on the real thing. Downtime so much, gain so much, and so the listener can think about all the information. Yeah. That was just briefly.
I think it was a great presentation, definitely. I do agree with Nils with the concept of the AGVs. I figured out what it was all about, but I think it could probably be a little bit better described, at least in the business plans when you got percent. This is how it works. This is typically maybe a physical warehouse. You have all the cars running around. So I'm thinking that would probably be better explained. So I agree with Nils on that one. Another thing that I would like to see is a little bit more on, since it's a software development project, and we all know that they tend to kind of run really long, and often they never end. They're costly. So I thought it would be great to see some kind of a milestone plan. Definitely where you are right now with prototype we've developed, which I think does great. You got that in there. But I'd like to see what are the milestones in the next 2 years, and also the associated financial projections. With the money we're going to invest, or the investor going to find for 1.5 million, how is that being allocated, and what are the milestones in terms of the project actually being met? I'd like to get that kind of information too. But I think it was a great presentation, and I think I definitely learned more from this presentation than I already had in the business plan. So things were a little bit more clear to me. So it's good.
Yeah. Again, I totally agree with Nils about the business model. It has to be a little more, let's say, specific on different business aspects, so to speak, not technical but business aspects.
Yes.
I also thought quite a lot about all the numbers that you gave in terms of financing 1.5 or this and that, and your earnings of how much accumulated 115 or million or whatever within 5 years, how you came to that.
Yes.
Another thing is that I'm not totally sure about your go-to-market plan. I think that you are quite limited in terms of who your customers actually are. You're naming the different companies, Danfoss and all the great Danish manufacturing companies, but isn't that too limited? Because then you mentioned Danfoss and the thing in Rødekro, for instance. Rødekro is not a manufacturing part, it is a logistics part.
Yeah,
so
it's warehouse. We're also focusing on warehouses.
Okay.
Actually, mainly on warehouses. Maybe I should have illustrated that a little bit.
The thing is that you're talking about manufacturing companies only, and I believe that it shouldn't be limited to that. It could also be distributors where their capacity is to do that.
I think that's actually a big misunderstanding that we didn't say well enough on our part, because we're actually focusing almost solely at the moment at automated warehousing.
Okay.
So production facilities, modular production, we are looking into, but more as an expansion area for the future.
Okay.
So we're very much focusing on logistics and warehousing.
Okay.
Should be illustrated here.
Yeah. Yeah. That was it at this point in time.
I think also it was a great presentation. Got a good overview. One of the things I was thinking a little bit about were what are you actually offering? I hear it's software. I hear also that you have some kind of realize that there are some consultancies which are quite powerful. And the first approach with one particular customer would be consultancy. So are you actually going to be a consultancy company or a software provider? And I think that somehow what is actually the offering. Are you focusing on solving the system problem, meaning kind of integrator, or are you actually going to develop a software piece of which can be sold to different parts? So I think it's also a matter of, as before, where are you actually trying to get into the chain of value is very important.
It's a very good question.
Yes.
Okay. Should we, Sean, answers here?
Yeah.
On that, where are you in that value
Yeah,
chain?
sure. I think a lot of the questions we have answers to, so if you're interested.
Sure.
Maybe in 15 minutes, that's... but should I stand or sit? Or?
It's up to you, so sit down. That's okay.
Yes. Well, yeah, you're right about the AGV. We actually haven't thought about explaining what it actually does because we've been through it so many times that we take it for granted. So thank you very much for that point. In the business model, you wanted to hear a little bit more about how we thought about entering. Maybe I should take a little bit, explain a little bit about how we think about entering the market.
Yeah, maybe we can pick up
Let's go back to
that slide shortly. Yes.
3 slides back.
No, it's actually not in the computer.
One more. There.
Yes.
Well, basically, and that also relates to what you asked about what we're going to be, a consultancy or a software provider. The thing is, we realize that in an industry like that, if you don't have any references, basically you'll never get customers. And also we need, basically we wanted to take the software from this stage, where we developed the software on this platform, though those vehicles that we bought have the same characteristics as a regular AGV that is working. We wanted to take that software and actually put it on a real-time system, to make it a real commercialized product. So in order to get between this stage and that stage where when we have a commercialized product where we can go to more customers, we wanted to set up some kind of a consultancy project. So basically we want to be at the end of the day a software provider. But in order to get to that, what we have to offer right now is consultancy. In return for using some of the existing platforms, some of the spare AGVs that are sitting around, for example, in Novo Nordisk. If they have 2 AGVs, just spare, because almost every company has a couple of spare AGVs. So in return for a project that we're going to do using our intellectual brains, we're going to evaluate their warehouse operations. We can evaluate a lot of different aspects in supply chain management, or a lot of different aspects in that context, in return for having the opportunity to actually implement our software and experiment a little bit while we do that in a real-time system. So that was the aim. Once we finish the first project, we intend on doing another one in the same kind of layout. Another consultancy that doesn't have to be a Danish company. We can already go there to a German or a Swedish company, because there's many more companies in Germany and in Sweden that could be potential customers. And do another consultancy-based project where we again just basically take our software and implement it on the system, see exactly that it operates the way it should be, and also offer a consultancy project. Yes.
Are you thinking those two first companies would be paying customers? Would they be? How do you see that?
Well, the first initial one, we intend on asking something symbolic. And when I say symbolic, it's really symbolic, like 200,000 Danish crowns. For a project like that, in industry terms, that's just saying we paid them something. But around that, for the second customer, we intend on charging about the half a price, which is about 5 million. And for a project like this, even for a consultancy project, correct me if I'm wrong, that's still a good price. And of course, they're gonna have the opportunity of having the software once we're done, because basically we did everything with their system, so it's just about giving them. But after those two references, those initial two references, we intend on having our first paying customer, where we can go to a customer and say, okay, look, we implemented our software on two companies, big companies. It's working. It's operating this and that. We can give actual data on the operation. Now we can sell it to a customer full price and start earning a little bit more references. Maybe have 2 projects. I'm talking about year 3. Those initial ones, that's going to be year 1 and 2. So that takes time as well. And then in year 3, maybe have the first full project. Also, of course, we're going to be hiring, hopefully, the staff to actually be able to have such a project.
And we will actually stay consultants, because the customer will actually buy our software, but we will implement the software together with the IT department. Because they have legacy systems in place, that means there's always a minimal amount of reverse engineering required every time we encounter a new system. So that's why we keep offering our consultancy. Also during the consultancy we've done in the first 2 years, we've learned so much that it's actually come to be a real competence of Decor. So we'll keep doing consultancy as well.
So it will never be like 100% out of the box, downloadable, implement yourself. It will always require that, some kind of expertise from Decor.
Well, basically, the way we intend on designing it is basically a plug-and-play kind of box, where our generic software is, basically just generic, and then the only thing that we need to adjust is something that's called the middleware between our software and the existing software of the AGV. So that needs to be some kind of a translator. And the more experience we get, the more platforms we get experience with, the less work we need to do every time we come to a project. But definitely in the first ones, and that's why we give almost a year to each one of those initial projects, because it would take time, definitely. We have to be realistic about that.
It's a good model, I think. I think it's the way to go.
First, a follow-up question there. I didn't quite understand. You said 5 million kroner. So what exactly does Danfoss get for 5 million?
Well, basically, our consultancy, we're going to set up a consultancy project where we, for example, analyze their entire warehouse operations. Plus, in Danfoss case, it would require that they get AGVs, because right now they have only one. But they're intending, I know for almost a fact that they're intending on having it at some point. That's why we consider them as a potential. But for example, Novo Nordisk, they would get both the consultancy and then the opportunity, if everything goes well, to get the software at the end.
But just take it back a little bit. You mentioned that you want to do the consultancy to get the references for the software, effectively. But
yes.
Now a cheeky question, but as a consultant, will you not need references as well?
Yeah, that's right. But that's the thing. There is no loss for the company to let us actually.
5 million kroner?
Oh no, that's only the second one.
200,000.
The 200 we asked for the first one. So, and that's basically something we thought that would just not working for free.
And to your question about what 5 million kroner will get the second company, basically if you have a company like Novo Nordisk that has 16 AGVs but a software contract that is running out, they have 2 options. They either upgrade with Swisslog, which is a company they're not happy about, or they buy a completely new system, which for 16 AGVs will probably be somewhere around 80 million. What we say is we come in, work for a year, we'll give you a full report on how to optimize your processes, and apart from that, we'll upgrade your current hardware in such a way that you can keep them for at least another 5 to 10 years, so you can postpone this investment of 80 million crowns or more for at least another 5 years, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, and fair point. The only thing is that Nova, they do not like the Swisslog, but they know that it works.
Yeah.
So even spending that money might be an easier decision than going with somebody who
Yes.
is not sure that it works.
Yes, that's true. But there's no harm done in terms of technical development. That's why we intend on fooling around with their spare AGVs and not, tell them, okay, now you stop everything you do. We come, we mess around with the system, we ruin everything, and you'll never see it again. But yeah, it's going to be a hard task to convince the first reference. That's for sure.
Just drilling a little bit more into the 5 million there, have you put any consideration into what it takes for somebody to sign off on 5 million?
Yeah.
If you want to sell a 5 million krona project to Danfoss,
Yeah.
who can make that decision? Do you think?
Well, yeah. Who can make that decision? That's a good question. We know that's not the IT manager, for example, because so far we've been talking a lot to those kind of people. People that had a lot of technical knowledge about what the problems were, and also some IT managers of asking them how the setup between there and the suppliers and what kind of relationship they had with their suppliers and how it worked. So that was a lot of conversation. But we're fully aware that they're not the decision makers. When the time comes, where it comes now, basically what Joost is going to be working on is exactly reaching those people and convincing them that cooperating with us in such a way would actually, at the end, potentially give them a lot of...
I'll give you the answer, it's the CEO.
Yeah, but I didn't want to say it, but it's true. He's the only one that thinks.
Again, out of the 5 million, how much is software, do you think?
How much is?
Software. How much will be software out of the 5 million? Just the software component that in this project. I know it's a generic size, but just to have a...
Well, it basically goes to salaries, that 5 million.
No, but in terms of how much would be the selling price for the software in that project? So
And how much is it for consulting and how much is for software?
I assume that part of it will be implementing software as well.
Yeah, it's
The 5 million in this case is the price for the software.
That's the price for the software.
Yeah, the consultancy is since this is one of the first projects. The price is that much higher because at the end we'll implement the software. It's mostly the price of the software that is the 5 million.
And if that seems high, I know that, for example, in Willicott they paid 40, just for software, not any. That's just for the software.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
that's
talking
a-
software,
yes,
we're
we-
talking development costs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're talking selling price now.
To the customer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what-
development cost, that's what it's going, it's developing the software that you pay for.
But it's also not so much the cost of the software as it's actually related to how much they will save by implementing the software. If there's savings in direct operational costs of 10 millions a year, plus there's the opportunity cost of not upgrading the entire system for 30 to 80 million crowns for another 5 to 10 years, then 5 million suddenly is a very reasonable price.
You do have to remember that the 5 million is only for the second. That's what we intend on charging the second one.
But I assume that it's that's when we get up to the going rate for your product.
Yeah, that's right. But hopefully with the first project we already showed, look, it saves that and that much. So by investing 5 million, you'll get exactly that much return on investment within this period. So.
Okay, Ola, you have...
Yeah, in terms of duration for the implementation, you talked about 1 year. I thought about if you need 1 year for implementation in each of the companies.
No,
That's only initially.
that's not
Okay.
that's not the implementation period.
Okay.
We have to consider the first two references as a joint development partner. It's not we don't really consider them as customers. We call them the initial customers, but they are as important to us as we are important. Well, hopefully important to them, because we need to take in the software from this level of prototyping into an actual product that we can afterwards just come with a package, put it on, maybe take a month and then go again. That's where this is so important, because this is where, besides the references, technically, to develop on a real platform, this is very, very important for us. And that's why we take a whole year. We know that software projects, they always go longer than what they should be. Plus, we also commit with the consultancy project.
But in best case scenario, if that will happen, when will you be ready with your full-size package for the real deal?
Year 3.
Year 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so you will spend the first 3 years here trying to come into the companies, trying to develop together with them, make implementation,
Yeah, and
get
then the first
references.
two references.
Yes, and so the economic way, the first project you will say 200,000.
Yes,
And then the next will be half price, something
Yeah.
like that,
exactly.
for a 3-year period.
Yeah.
No,
And that,
that's a 2 year, two and a half year period, and in year 3 we will have the product ready.
So 2.5 years you need to use for and spend for implementation and references and so on. Okay.
So basically, it's all the way to here. You can see also that that the accumulated profit is in minus, because basically we don't earn anything.
Exactly.
That's why we need a second round of investments, probably around the amount of 3 billion, which is very important to us, because we don't have any income until maybe year 3, probably.
Jesper first.
The thing is that I have no idea about this, how do you say, this industry in terms of consulting, but what I know is that you are newcomers, so you can do it in a lot of different ways than the other guys or your competitors.
Yes.
What I'm thinking is that when talking about software or whatever, many companies have they have license agreements, updates, whatever. That is actually that is the cash cow, so to speak. Yeah.
That's exactly where you see that we intend on starting that in year 4.
Okay. So what I was thinking is that if that is the way forward, why don't we try to lower the cost in terms of the 5 million or whatever, because 5 million for every company in this situation which we're in is quite a lot of money. And then say, okay, let's lower it to half or whatever, and then start up with the licensing and upgrades and whatever in that department instead of trying to push the 5 million, because that would be a key issue for you to convince everybody, and that will take time. It will take a lot of time for you.
Yes, but
Can I take that one?
Yeah.
That's a really good question, but the thing is why we're not doing that, at least not with the initial customers, is because there's the issue of the technology transfer. Go from something that we've made on a proof of concept to something that we will actually implement. So we'll develop this very, very much together with the in-house IT department, with the idea that they can actually take care of the system after we leave. Of course, if there's big problems, we'll come in. But with the initial projects we do not intend to have these service agreements as a real point of income. Later on, we would definitely have to consider that. Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a plan B for if that doesn't work?
yeah,
The whole concept, contacting with those 2 companies, Danfoss and Morris.
Yeah.
Do we have a plan B? Will maybe smaller companies or?
Well, the thing is that the software is really technically the software is going to be interesting only on larger systems with larger complex. If you have a product that you need to take from point A to point B all the time, that's not really where the software comes in terms of productivity gains. That's not really where we come and say, hey, we save you a lot of money. It's only where there's a lot of complex moves and a lot of, for example, a company like John Deere have 76 of those vehicles running around. 76. That would be, for example, a perfect example to a complex company with serious problems of computation. So that's why we're aiming on the larger ones. But at the same time, we're going to go to the consultancies and say, hey, we're a new attractive solution, and then try to use those first two references in order to sell ourselves to the consultancies. Because at the end of the day, I think that's where really that's where it would go, where they would take our software and combine that with the system.